Israel recently attempted to take on Iran and destroy its nuclear facilities. The move triggered a standoff that saw both nations exchanging deadly strikes for 12 days, a brutal reminder of what's at stake when nuclear ambitions collide with regional power plays. But this isn't the first time Israel has tried to stop a Muslim country from going nuclear. Back in the 1980s, Tel Aviv, with covert help from India, attempted to destroy Pakistan's nuclear facilities. It failed. So, how did Pakistan, not an economically advanced country, build a nuclear program that turned the country into a target for Israel? To understand that, we need to go back to the Cold War era. In 1956, under the U.S. Atoms for Peace program, the Pakistan Atomic Energy Commission was established. This was then U.S. President Eisenhower's idea, aimed at slowing down the nuclear arms race by offering countries assistance in developing civilian nuclear energy in exchange for not building bombs. Pakistan sent 37 scientists abroad, acquired nuclear equipment with U.S. aid, and by 1961 had its own research center in Lahore. 2 years later, it had a small nuclear power plant near its capital, Islamabad. Then came the 1965 war with India. Washington, Islamabad's primary weapons supplier, imposed an arms embargo on Pakistan for violating an agreement between both countries by using US-made weapons against India. At the same time, India had quietly begun developing nuclear weapons. Pakistan now faced two urgent needs: find a reliable ally and start its own nuclear weapons program. That ally turned out to be China, and Islamabad turned inward. Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, then Pakistan's foreign minister, made it clear: if New Delhi had the bomb, Islamabad would get one too, even if it meant eating grass. By 1971, Pakistan had lost its eastern wing, now Bangladesh, after another war with India. 3 years later, India tested its first nuclear device. It was called Smiling Buddha, and it was built using technology provided by the US and the former USSR, on the assumption that it would be used peacefully.
So I'm never bothered about prestige.
Pakistan demanded sanctions. Washington, through then US Secretary of State Henry Kissinger, responded with inaction as if to say, live with it. In 1972, Bhutto gathered scientists and bureaucrats in a secret meeting in Multan, where they vowed to develop nuclear weapons. This covert initiative was called Project 706, Pakistan's own Manhattan Project. Enter Abdul Qadeer A.Q. Khan, a nuclear physicist working at Urenco, a European uranium enrichment firm. Khan offered his services to Bhutto in 1974. He returned from the Netherlands to Pakistan with stolen centrifuge designs and started a parallel uranium enrichment program in the country. The PAEC, Pakistan Atomic Energy Commission, worked on plutonium, and Khan set up a uranium enrichment laboratory in a small idyllic town called Kahuta. To buy equipment from Europe, Khan built a network of front companies. One was disguised as a butter factory. Through his contacts and state support, Khan imported almost everything needed for a functioning enrichment plant, down to spare parts. Bhutto was ousted in a coup in 1977, after which Washington imposed more sanctions on the country. But Khan's project ended up receiving even greater support and funding under the administration of Bhutto's replacement, General Zia-ul-Haq. He wrote a book in that, and he used to mention, in which was his quote, that the Christian world can have the bomb, the Jews can have the bomb, the Hindus can have the bomb, the communists can have the bomb, why can't the Muslim country have a bomb? In 1979, British intelligence and an ensuing German documentary exposed Pakistan's nuclear ambitions and how it was bypassing the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA. But the US didn't act. Why? Because it needed Pakistan. The Soviets had just invaded Afghanistan. The Iranian Revolution had toppled the Shah, a key US ally. Washington now saw Pakistan as an essential regional ally.
The best of all worlds. You have created the illusion, and that would be your word, that you have the bomb, but you don't have the bomb. So you're still going to get the American aid, and you're still going to keep India off balance. I'm not indulging in self-praise, but Pakistan is an intelligent people.
In 1979, the CIA learned that Israel was considering a military strike on Qahuta to prevent Pakistan from exploding a bomb. The plan did not materialize. Israel, however, bombed Iraq's nuclear facility in 1981 and began to plan a preemptive strike on Pakistan with India's help. Zia continued to deny that Pakistan possessed any nuclear weapons.
Yes, it's false. When Pakistan does not have the intentions or the urgent desire to have a nuclear device, why should we have such things?
But in March 1983, Islamabad went public with its nuclear weapons program, conducting its first ever cold test of a nuclear device. The following year, Tel Aviv had partnered with New Delhi to target Pakistan's facilities. Things began to change in 1981 when Israelis struck the Osirak reactor in Iraq. And that became a big threat because then India tried to copy that. Wait, you can do that, I can do that also. India does the same even today. They think that whatever Israel can do and get away with, they can do in their neighborhood and get away with as well. It's not clear whether Israel will be directly involved in actually striking or not. We don't have any open source information on that, but definitely the Israelis were helping Indians get trained to do so. The joint mission was called Operation Kahuta and involved Israeli jets using Indian air bases to fly under the radar above Kashmir. India's then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi signed off on the plan, but later cancelled it. Her son, Rajiv, who succeeded her, chose restraint at first.
इस वक्त फिजा इतनी साजगार है नजर आ रही है कि मुझे ये महसूस हो रहा है कि हिंदुस्तान में से कि अभी ये सवालात भी इनके खत्म हो गए.
Then came 1986. India launched a massive military exercise called Operation Brass Tacks. It involved over 800,000 troops and heavy armor on the country's border with Pakistan. Islamabad believed it was a setup for war. By 1987, the two countries were staring each other down on their borders. A war would be triggered, a crisis would be triggered, and the crisis turned into a sort of a kinetic action war. The same plan of jaguars, etc., hugging the terrain, flying low to escape the radar, and strike out anywhere between 3 to 5 minutes. In 1998, India conducted 5 more nuclear tests. Amidst reports of an Israeli airstrike on Pakistan's nuclear installations from Indian air bases, Islamabad responded with its own series of tests, establishing credible nuclear deterrence.
It will change the constellation of power here, and it will pose a very grave danger to the peace of the world.
But Pakistan's bomb came with some sanctions and controversies. In the early 2000s, A.Q. Khan was accused of selling nuclear secrets to Iran, North Korea, and Libya. Under U.S. pressure, Pakistan's then-President Musharraf placed the physicist under house arrest. Khan was forced to confess on national television.
The investigation has established that many of the reported activities did occur, and that these were inevitably initiated at my behest.
After Musharraf was deposed in 2007, all charges against A.Q. Khan were dismissed, and the physicist died in 2021.